Good morning. Happy Saturday. Good morning and welcome to Love Morning. This is Hug Nation's Love Morning. So wherever you are in Hug Nation. It is a place beyond space. It is not a geographic location. It is a place of intention. Doesn't matter where your mind is at. Wait, I said that wrong. Doesn't matter where your feet are at. Matters where your heart is. So welcome. Thank you for joining me today for a moment of connection and gratitude, for a reminder to maybe knock ourselves out of whatever grooves of distrust, anxiety, frustration, hopelessness that we might find ourselves in, or maybe not. But if you are maybe not even aware of it, and in a groove of thought that is unpleasant, this is your daily reminder to maybe fresh start, shake the Etch-a-Sketch clean, start again, and go, okay, for this day, for today, if I start now, who do I want to be? How do I want to feel? How do I want to treat people? At the end of this day, if I look back at the person I was, what will I wish I would have said, done, acted, embraced? Where were the places that I hoped that I would show some courage? Hope the places that I could have had an example or an opportunity to be a little bit kinder. And that courage can be as simple as the courage to say hello and smile as a neighbor is passing. It could be the courage to say no. It could be the courage to say, I'm a little uncomfortable in this conversation. Could we change topics for a little bit? My name is John Halcyon Stinn. I am the groundskeeper of this container. So thanks for joining and being a part of it. If you are here live, say hello. If you're watching this recording, leave a comment. Would love to know who you are, where you are, what is in your mind. It could be the dark recesses of your mind that you rarely share, maybe even aren't even willing to look at. That's a big ask. What I'm really suggesting is share a little bit of gratitude. What is something in your world that you can appreciate? And that is the kind of the key message or intention of these Hug Nation Love Mornings, is not to deny the world, not to ignore your problems, not to put your head in the sand, not to bypass, but to give yourself opportunities, this being one of them, hopefully many through the days, where you go, can I give my nervous system a chance to let go of its constant vigilance of concern, worry, fear, uncertainty, and just go, those, yes, and, oh, look at this beautiful leaf that has unfolded or is in the process of unfolding. Oh, how wonderful to have witnessed that bird fly by. Oh my goodness, what a beautiful act I just witnessed between some kids on the playground. Oh my gosh, the writing and the artistry and acting of this TV show I just watched. Bravo, all involved. What an accomplishment. What an incredible use of your creativity and your energy to create this piece of entertainment that is also serves as education and enlightenment and uplifting and shame reduction. I say that because I finished watching a series last night called Dying for Sex that was really something special. And I'll talk about it more in just a moment. But first I will say, good morning, Pierre. So you're in the US right now, isn't that right? Pierre says, today is an absolutely perfect day. Oh, in Amsterdam. So you're not in the US. My apologies. I could have kept right reading. I was getting ahead of myself. I enjoyed having lunch on a terrace today next to a fountain and just watched the city. So much gratitude that I am this privileged. That's really the key, that pretty much wherever you are, outside of the extremes of the bell curve of your privilege, there are things in your world that you can be like, wow. If you are imprisoned, if you are in severe medical pain situations, this is a different conversation. But if you are alive, mostly healthy, not imprisoned, physically or emotionally in a relationship where you're trapped, if you are able to decide to walk outside at any point in your day and choose to spend 10 seconds or 10 minutes looking at a tree or a sunset, then we've got aspects of existence to celebrate and realize that of all the collections of atoms in all the history of the universe, we are conscious inside a collection of matter that is alive and connected to consciousness and is experiencing reality as much as the mind of this being can perceive, and we can marvel at it. If you don't watch it, you can, if you passively say, let me go to social media and ask it through my actions of scrolling, ask it to tell me what I should be, is the world. Define the world for me. What is the news of the world? It will give you very little to celebrate. It will convince you that I'm not even sure if it's worth being alive. So we have to counteract that and remind one another, remind ourselves to sit on a terrace next to a fountain and watch the city. So thanks, Pierre. Pierre's coming next week. Bliss Rising Echo. Echo says, happy Libra full moon. Ooh, is tonight full moon? I noticed how huge it was last night. Like, wazza, wizoo. Echo says, I'm grateful for the newfound clarity that's unfolding for me and deciding to go to India for yoga teacher training this summer. Wow. That's news. Thank you for sharing. That's incredible. I had a kind of a realization in the last year that I don't think I'm ever going to go to India. In the back of my mind, it was always like a bucket list kind of thing. And, unless some changes in medical technology happens, like, I am so uncomfortable when I'm hot. And I get overheated in San Diego, which is like the most temperate city in the world. We had a 80-degree day, and I was like, I hung out all day in my underwear. Which was awkward because I had to go to the post office. But my understanding of India is a humidity and a temperature that is just so oppressive in so many places. So that's hard for me to be like, yeah, I mean, I think that I could appreciate so many of the other things that people say are difficult about India, but the heat and humidity. But I want to hear about your trip. I'm so glad that you've got momentum in that direction. That's super inspiring. Thank you for sharing. What a beautiful gratitude. Good morning, Steve. Good to see you. Good morning. What am I grateful for? Okay, so I'm grateful for my new T-shirt. I splurged and got a kind of a expensive bamboo T-shirt. I think I may have mentioned I saw Ishmael wearing one, and it looked so good on him. I was like, wow. I mean, maybe there is something to a expensive T-shirt, you know? Like, dun. So we'll see. I've been dealing with a little bit of my future freak out by retail therapy and buying things, being like, I mean, this economy could collapse, in before I have a chance to empty my bank account. So maybe I should spend more. I mean, that's not. I know I'm not emptying my bank account, but I maybe a version of me 2 years ago would not be able to overcome the hump of buying an expensive T-shirt. Echo says, I totally get it. I'll be in Rishikesh, which is up in the mountains, where it's chilly and on the sacred Ganga River. Okay, so that actually, I should do more research. Like, for example, I do know that, like, I am done with the tropics. I have been to Costa Rica maybe 4 times. I've been to Bali 3 times. Been to Thailand. Beautiful. And every time I'm there, I struggle with how uncomfortable I am in my body, with the stickiness and overheated. And I know that people say over time, if I were to spend 6 months there, I might get used to it. But that being said, there is a retreat center that I've gone to in Costa Rica, which is in the mountains, like Rishikesh, I would imagine. And it is cooler. And with the shade of the trees and the cool mountain air and the less humid and hot than it is on the beaches, I love it there. And there's a icy river that flows through the property that I have gone to several times. So thank you for that reminder of broadening our awareness. It's like when people say, like, America is blank, like, or Christians are blank. Like, well, there's a lot of diversity within these things. Like, India is, I mean, that's pretty ignorant of me to say. So thank you for that reminder. Chris is grateful to be able to pop in here. I'm in a rental car in Phoenix. Sweet. Thank you for sending the photo of a fellow Love Ambassador graduate. You guys went in different years, but it's so cool that you guys connected in Arizona Arizona, right? Yeah, Phoenix at a Burning Man camp cleanup party. It made me so happy to see the photo and know that you guys were connecting and had that in common. So thank you for sharing. Master Ong! I almost sent you a picture. I was going through a bunch of old photos and I had a picture of us at Venice Beach from many years ago. And yeah, so grateful for you. We've never been people who like hang out socially, but the way that you have shown me respect and the way that I respect you, and I feel like our individual areas of passion have been inspiring to one another. And if you're still here and listening, I hope that you hear my gratitude, my appreciation for you in the world and in my life. Echo says, yes, I lived in Costa Rica for 2.5 years. The Chiripo Mountains get quite cold, but the heat and humidity in the beach towns can be quite intense. Yeah, that. So maybe I should consult you next time I'm planning some travel. Chris says, this conversation is reminding me how grateful for air conditioning. Yes. I have not used it yet in the new home, but as it's early April and it's been warm. Lisa and I were like, oh, it's going to be interesting to see how much AC we use as this gets to be the summertime. We've got a lot of south-facing windows, and it starts to bake in the afternoon. But we also have no fans in here, so we may have to start with getting some fans. Marvin's saying that it's 100 degrees in Phoenix today. Oh my goodness. Thank you, brother. Miss you too. And also saying that air conditioning is a must in Arizona. Yeah, I mean, some places it's just like if you live in Las Vegas or Phoenix, it's life or death. I mean, in San Diego, most of my life, I never had air conditioning any place that I lived. AC was for office buildings. Very few people had it in their homes, but temperatures have now most places have AC, or if you rent a place, you got to bring in portable ACs. Not all the time, but there's, used to be a week or two a year. Now sometimes it's more than that, where if you want to be comfortable in your home, you gotta use technology. Okay, so I want to share about this TV show, Dying for Sex. It is on Hulu, and anybody heard of it or watched of it any bit? I saw a trailer and I'm like, this looks really interesting. It's about a woman who gets a cancer diagnosis, and this is in the trailer, and realizes that she has never had an orgasm with a partner, and so her bucket list includes that goes on her bucket list of things to do before she eventually, and she gets a terminal diagnosis. So the things that I think are so incredible about this show is, one, it is a very sophisticated and respectful exploration of kink. I mean, it's not just sex. I mean, they in her quest to discover herself, she explores some avenues of what it would be considered out there, easy to judge or be clutch your pearls at aspects of sexuality. And so a big part of the show is there's nothing wrong with you if you like something, and explore, figure out what you like. And it's done. I mean, I kind of want to reach out to some people I know that are into some of the kinks they talk about and say, like, have you seen it? Do you think that they treated that with respect? It felt like it to me. Like it had a whole thing on how to top someone and be a dom, and which is something that I have explored and embraced in my life. And I was very impressed with, it was not at all the stereotype S&M stuff. It was beautiful. So that being said, also some of the sex scenes are hot, and they're not graphic, but they're intense. Like I was like, I love this show. I can't recommend this to my parents, and actually a number of people that I would like, I was going to put it on my list of good shows. Like there's good stuff to be learned in this show. Kind of like I feel that way about This Is Us or Shrinking or the Coach show in England. And the other thing that this show is so, I can't think of another example like it, but I mean, I know there's movies about it, but and this could be extra intense for me because of my experience with Janus and the dying process of the beginning of this year with him. But the relationship of a woman and the person who signs up to be her oh, I'm gonna be there for you for the end. It is so beautiful, and it is so it tackles a lot of things about death that we just don't talk about. And I just thought it was so I was so glad to have watched it. When it was like last night, we were almost done. I'm like, should we watch the last episode? I go, I know I'm gonna cry, and I did. We were both bawling at the end, but it was also something special. I mean, part of it is watching, like, watching a show about someone dying and the relationship with their favorite person, and knowing that I now have a favorite person. And Lisa turned to me afterwards and was like, one of us is going to die alone. Like, one of us is going to go first. And that's one of the core spiritual understandings is you will lose everything. That's for sure. At some point, you will lose everything you care about, everything you love. But that being said, if you can handle that exploration, I really recommend Dying for Sex, and I recommend not watching it with your parents, and not watching it if you are uncomfortable with outside the box, non-vanilla sexuality. Chris says, as a death doula, I love that they bring sexuality in conjunction with dying to the forefront. We don't talk about it. I also work with a sex worker that works for the dying. Oh, how awesome. And so you watched it and you loved, so I appreciate your perspective on that. Yeah, I thought the acting was so good. Every character is like great. Really, like I was so impressed. And there's some really funny parts. Like I would laugh out loud at times and cry sometimes. I mean, this is a beautiful and unique. It's 5 stars it's on my list of exceptional shows, unusual. It's a piece of art if it's within the boundaries of topics and areas that you're open to exploring. Bye, Echo. Wishing everyone a blessed day full of gratitude, and shout out some praise to Marvin. Such an inspirational flow artist. Yeah. Marvin also saying, I remember the early 2000s in LA. Definitely was like, wow, cold, and never turned on the AC all year, right? It was a different time. The Laughing Urban Monk says, the tough part about love is talking about uncomfortable things. The more I learn to love, the more I am able to listen and talk about uncomfortable things. That is so true. And one thing that I have really been blessed to have this level of trust and comfort with Lisa is, and from knowing so early, like knowing the first week I knew her, that this is a person I want to be with forever, that means that it's worth it to have hard conversations. It's worth it to talk about uncomfortable things. Because if this is just a fling, then it's fine if I have the whole private life or things like, that kind of bugs me, but whatever. I'm just going to let them be them. But if I'm going to be with someone forever, I have to be like, hey, I need to say that I've been having these thoughts that I've been afraid to talk about, and I've been having these concerns, and I'm worried. I have this story right now that you are annoyed by blah, 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 blah. And getting to like, okay, well, thank you for having the courage to talk. Lisa and I had a conversation yesterday where I initiated, I said, hey, could we, in this afternoon have a talk about this? Actually, I'm not going to say the topic, but, and so we did, and we sat down and really tried to be as honest as possible about things that we talked about in the past, just to check in and make sure that we were still on the same page, or how things were feeling, and things that we might like, or were worried about the other person having thoughts that they weren't talking about, and Lisa thanked me for having the courage to bring up the topic. And I really, in my gratitude last night, so we give gratitude to each other at the end of every day, like, what I appreciate about you is, and yesterday my gratitude was, what I appreciate about you is how easy it was to have an uncomfortable conversation with you, and how clearly it feels like we are both part of Team Lovebirds. So if we bring up an uncomfortable conversation, it's not a negotiation. It's not a fight for what we need at the expense of what you need. It's not it's a, or even trying to find a compromise. It's a, hey, I am committed to us. So since both of us are committed to us, can we make sure that there's no misunderstandings, and make sure that we both understand what uncertainties, what maybe unanswered questions, what some maybe expectations that haven't been said? Can we make sure that we can share as much as possible so that we can be on Team Lovebirds? And it's an experience I've never had before, and it requires what you just said, that love is talking about uncomfortable things. Thank you for that. Anybody else want to share a last gratitude before we head out into our days and try to spread our kindness? I'm going to make a confession to you guys. If you didn't hear me say it about 2 months ago, I had some Botox done. I had some Botox around here because I was developing a really pronounced crease that was always there between my eyes, and I kept catching my reflection or seeing pictures, and I always looked like this. I always looked like I was angry, even when I was just like relaxing my face. And it wasn't that I thought I looked old. It was that I didn't want to look angry. And so I said, well, when I got a consultation, they said, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty pronounced thing, so it might take a few times, but that's the kind of thing that this would work on. And so it's been 2 months, and it's less. I totally am pleased with the results. Now, I have conflicting beliefs about, having surgery to try to stay young. But I also believe in body autonomy. And if you want to pierce or remove parts of your body, or, it's your canvas. So I made the decision to explore a medical way to make me more happy in living in this canvas. So I just thought that in the spirit of disclosure and the spirit of transparency, I would share that I just had the realization that I am happy with my Botox. Eric, good morning. Eric says, I am grateful I could do service work yesterday at the assisted care home I'm in. Also, I was told I am recovered enough to go homeless next week. Yay on all fronts. Sweet. As I watched the show, Dying for Sex, and seeing, people involved with the death process and hospice work, it brought back to the front. Actually, I've had this conversation a couple times in the last week of that there's a part of me that would like to volunteer at hospice. The times that I spent at my grandpa's retirement village were so rewarding, not just with him, but with other people, mostly with him. But so Eric, I'm going to take that as another sign for the universe to maybe explore hospice work or old folks' home work, assisted living, places where I could provide love and companionship. Thank you, Eric. And with that, I am headed to a funeral today for friends of my parents. Not someone close, but they're the daughter who's been a family friend for, I haven't seen them in many years, but they invited my brother and I, and so we're going to go. I believe will be a funeral service as opposed to the celebration of life that we had for Janus. That was celebration of life is very different. But as I've talked to my dad, who's out 84, when he goes to funerals now, sometimes there's not many people because you outlive so many of your friends. He went to a funeral last year of his old partner, his senior partner. He was in a law firm, Marinos and Stinn, before he went on to become Stinn and Garland, which is the law firm he was in for most of his career. But so his first boss, Marinos, passed away last year, and he was, late 90s, I think. And there was almost none of his friends had lived as long as him. So they were like, who speaks at the funeral? So it's partially thinking about that like, I will happy to make an appearance as another person that cared about the lost loved one. Chris is saying yes. I think that's to the hospice volunteering. I'm a little scared. I imagine that you work with many people who are struggling, and even those that are in awesome headspaces have probably difficult moments. But I think that I have the demeanor and spiritual grounding to. I'll just listen to Ram Dass before every time I have a shift. Good morning, Carolyn. Carolyn says, I was a hospice volunteer with my Chihuahua, and it was so rewarding. I bet you would love it. Wait, you brought your Chihuahua to work in hospice, or you were a hospice worker for the dying of your Chihuahua? Either way, I'm glad it was rewarding. Chris says, I'm grateful for wood water ways. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you and appreciate your continued practicing of gratitude. Sometimes it's hard. I see. Brought my Chihuahua to hospice. Oh, that's super cool. Maybe I will bring.
I don't want to go.
Well, how do you know you want to go? You've never been.
Sometimes going places I've never gone before makes me nervous.
Well, that's why you got to try it. You got to get over the hump.
Okay, maybe I'll go with you. You don't think that somebody who's dying might think that talking to a puppet is, kind of, ridiculous?
Well, I mean, I think it's ridiculous no matter what state of life you're in.
Good point.
Good morning, Hope. Well, we are finishing up now to have a hug and head out into our days. My big question for the day is, I washed my hair yesterday. Is my hair too wild to wear to a funeral? I've got my kind of like bald spot back here. I think it's I think I could pull this off at a funeral. I was trying on outfits. I have a black dress shirt and some dark pants. So I think I can pull it off. Lisa made it. Good morning. Grateful to catch you. Looking forward to tell you about gratitude last night. Oh, I'm grateful for a gorgeous day and a family of cardinals on my patio early this morning. Grateful for my gratitude family. Oh, well, I'm going to be headed to a funeral today during gratitude. I may wait, actually it's possible I might be able to join from the road on my drive there. So, but I'm eager to hear from you whenever, Lisa. You show up as you. Oh, I got it. Actually, I got to show you. So I told my brother, I was like, hey, is this okay? Like, if my brother said he was going to wear a suit, and I go, is it okay if I just wear like just all black like this? Can you see that picture? And he says, his response was, let's see if I can get it to focus. Maybe not. Okay. He goes, will you be playing bluegrass and telling stories of your time on the bayou? Yes, that should be totally fine. This looks like my liner notes for my bluegrass band. Yeah, do. All right. Shayla, I said no, absolutely not, but I'm not sure what that was in response to. There's a little bit of a delay on comments, so maybe it was. I don't know. I will. If you respond, great. Otherwise, I will simply feel your presence, and we will have ourselves a hug. What did the person you're honoring love about you? Bring it. That's good advice. The person we're going is the wife of my dad's best man at his wedding. So not a big presence in my life. But someone who was a important, loving being in the lives of many people that I care about. So that's why I'm going. Oh, I see. Bring it. Bring the hair. Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. Wherever you are, give yourself a hug. Take just a moment to appreciate that you're in a human body. I'm imagining that you're at least 10 years old. Maybe you're even over 20 years old. This thing has been working for over 20 years, continuing to digest food and fight off just insane amounts of bacteria and things that are trying to take over, and heals our cuts and so much. What a gift to be in this body that not only keeps us alive, but provides us with an interpretation of the world through our senses, letting us taste things and smell things and have physical touch sensations. What an entertaining way to exist in the universe, and to be conscious of it all, to ponder it. So let's be grateful for just the ability to be aware and conscious, and remind ourselves that when our consciousness steers us to places of worry and concern and despair, that there are so many places we could take a vacation from those thoughts and remember to appreciating the natural world, the relationships, the art, the music. What a gift it is to be alive and conscious in a world filled with so many things to delight us. And let's be grateful for our connection to one another, our ability to be role models and to open ourselves to connection and allow others to soften their walls and open their hearts. Let's be grateful for the ability to hear one another's gratitude and through that expand our own gratitude and amplify it and be vibrating at a level of gratitude that inspires others simply by being in our presence. So let's take a deep breath in and squeeze one another. On behalf of my sweet Grandpa Caleb and all of us here today, thank you for being here. I love you. Enjoy your Saturday. Thank you, Shahela. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks anyone who made it all the way to the end.